There's a revolution happening, not just on the surface, but deep within data. 2.5 quintillion bytes of data are said to be created every day, more generated in the last 2 years than all the data combined in human history. In this episode of Managing Asia, we deep dive into a core component of this digital revolution, storage, and meet a disruptor in this space. Ranked one of CNBC's Disruptor 50 in 2014 and 2015, Pure Storage has put the flash back into boring storage, a space long dominated by big names like HP and Dell EMC.
The storage business has been considered to be boring for a long time, not innovating, not going forward. In fact, the major players in the business have reduced the amount that they're spending on R&D and even on sales and marketing because they think that it's becoming commoditized.
It has been advancing at a faster rate.
Meet Charlie Giancarlo, a tech innovator with 3 decades of experience driving global tech companies, now running the California-based company.
I view storage as one of the 3 legs of the computing stool, along with processors and networking. So if storage doesn't move forward, computing doesn't move forward. We don't think that's the case. We're spending 20% on R&D, driving storage forward. And what does that mean? That means making it easier, making it smaller, making it faster, and really making it on a full par with computing and networking, driving computing forward.
Pure Storage uses flash technology, a type of non-volatile memory called flash memory, which doesn't require power to maintain the integrity of stored data. So even if your power goes out, you don't lose your data.
Flash is the kind of memory that you have in your iPhones or Android phones, and it's the kind that's going into most of the new laptops today. But up until now, data centers have been based on magnetic storage, the old magnetic disks, right? And if you try to put together a large amount of storage for any of the more modern applications, this is taking up racks and racks and racks of equipment. It's slow, it's error prone. We take flash, the same kind that's in your iPhones, and we put it into the data center environment. We're able to take petabytes of storage and put it in something the size of a microwave oven. And it is incredibly faster, much more reliable, and much easier to manage than magnetic storage.
Giancarlo says flash is fast, simple, and prices are falling, giving the traditional hard drive a run for its money. So Charlie, we're at the server room where companies store their data.
Right.
At what pace does flash storage replacing traditional magnetic hard disk drives?
An incredibly rapid rate, actually. Flash storage currently is growing about 10% a year worldwide. Magnetic storage is declining 10% a year worldwide. And if you just look at the average rate of growth of flash and the fact that it's declining in price faster than magnetic, what that means is probably 20% or more a year flash is replacing magnetic.
You're right, because to some extent, a lot of it boils down to pricing. Where do you see flash prices?
Now, year by year, it may be more, it may decrease more in one year than in another year, right? And that really depends on the progress of flash technology. For example, 2 years ago, it declined almost in half. Last year, almost not at all. So on average, it's about 20% a year decline.
So how much cheaper does flash prices have to go before a full crossover happens?
It's a great question. The crossover has already occurred on what's called primary storage, right? We believe that over the next year, it's going to start to also get secondary storage. Now, personally, I believe this whole thing, primary, secondary storage, is an old concept. With Pure, you can do both primary and secondary on one. We call that hot storage. If you need your data to be hot, available, it should be on flash. If it's going to be cold, meaning archive, or what's also called glacier, meaning takes forever, that can be on magnetic. And so we think it's that data storage is migrating very rapidly towards one type of storage, and that's flash. More and more companies need their data all the time for analytics, or they need it just because customers want access to it. You want access to your bank account not just for the most recent month, but you may want to go back and look several years before whether or not you had written a check to someone who's asking you for money now. And that data needs to be available. The bank can't come back to you and say, well, we'll tell you in a few weeks whether or not you wrote that check.
So the death of the hard disk drive is inevitable?
Well, certainly for primary and secondary storage, certainly for hot data, magnetic disk drives are going to go the way of the dinosaur.
Pure Storage was only founded in 2009. Since then, it has been growing at breakneck speed. Pure Storage is one of the fastest growing tech companies, having crossed the $1 billion mark in terms of revenue in the last fiscal 2018 ended January. How fast do you see the company growing from here? How soon before you become a $2 billion company?
We believe we're going to be a $2 billion company in just the next couple of years. We're growing at 40% a year currently, year on year, and that's been very consistent for us.
You posted profitability in the last fiscal fourth quarter as well. Is the company on track for full year profitability?
Yeah, we identified at the beginning of our fiscal year that we expected to be profitable, counting the full fiscal year this year.
Where is the growth going to come from?
Growth continues to come from both existing customers and new customers. About 70% of our sales every quarter are existing customers, and about 30% new customers. And what that indicates, since that's even larger than our growth, what it indicates is existing customers buy even more in following years.
According to IDC, the enterprise storage space worldwide is booming, driven by hyperscale cloud providers like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and Facebook, pushing market growth at a rate of over 30%.
I think flash storage is one of the hottest segments in the technology industry today. What's driving flash is really this whole shift towards digital transformation. Businesses across vertical industry are transforming to become digital native enterprises. And in order to deliver on this information transformation capabilities, organizations need to modernize their storage infrastructure.
But can upstart Pure take on the big boys? As I understand it, Pure Storage is focusing exclusively on flash storage.
Right.
But you're facing a lot of competition from the bigger players like Dell EMC, you've got NetApp, you've got IBM, you've got Hitachi. What are you doing to differentiate yourself from the big boys to pick up market share?
We are the only company that designed our software from the ground level to focus on flash. Flash is a fundamentally different technology than magnetic. All of our competitors took their software, which was designed for magnetic, and simply replaced their magnetic disk drives with so-called SSDs, or solid-state drivers. They have not done anything in their software to really optimize for flash storage. Because we've designed ours from the ground up for flash, we've allowed that to be faster because flash is parallel versus magnetic, which is serial, and we make better use of the flash. We're able to store more data in the same amount of flash than our competition. So I can say with very little hyperbole that we're 10 times faster, 10 times smaller, and require 10 times fewer people to manage our storage as our competition.
Are you charging 10 times as much as well?
We are not charging 10 times as much. We're very competitive from a pricing standpoint.
And just out of curiosity, what are your margins like in this increasingly competitive market?
Yeah, well, we've guided to 63 to 67% margins, and we've been very consistently in that environment, and it's at least 10 points higher than our competition.
Pure Storage, as I know it, is a two-product company.
Yes.
You've got flash array, flash blades. Are you working on a third flash product?
We continue to optimize flash, and we are working on multiple products actually as we talk. But they will not always be hardware, they'll be software and hardware.
So is a third one coming?
I can't even talk about that, but we're working on more.
You know, a lot of companies are now focusing on AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to really improve their storage management. Is this ultimately where the real fight is going to be to determine the clear winner in the flash storage space?
I would actually say that we are the clear winner right now in AI and machine learning. Our FlashBlade product, which you mentioned, is the standard product now for AI and machine learning. And the reason is because of throughput and speed. We are literally the only product that can deliver the speed of data necessary for some of these machine learning applications.
How will it dramatically change the way data storage is done?
The way it's changing the way data storage is done is that data storage has been large, it's been complex, it's required armies of people to manage and keep going. In our case, we generally only require the part-time of one person to manage huge amounts of storage by our customers. You've probably often experienced this. You go to your bank account on the internet and you want to find out what your bank account is on a Saturday. And they say, sorry, we can't support you right now. We're going through an upgrade process. Come back on Monday. Part of that is because they're upgrading their storage system and they take them down. Our storage system never has to go down, even when it's being upgraded. We provide 100% uptime, 6 nines reliability. That means 99.9999% of the time, the system is up and running.
I understand you're spending something like 25% of your revenues on R&D alone. What's the next big flash technology you're working on?
Well, there are a variety of other technologies that are coming up. 3D XPoint as well as Memristor by other vendors. We don't think they're quite ready for prime time, but we continue to work on them because we always want to bring the latest technology to our customers.
What is the next thing that's going to be big in terms of revenue burning for you?
Well, we think cloud storage is becoming very important to many of our customers, and we're working on ways for them to be able to leverage the same kind of values that we bring in enterprise storage into the cloud as well.
When it comes to new technology, any plans to acquire a company that would give you that new technology?
You know, I've been involved in throughout my career in a lot of different acquisitions. I always think about it in terms of build, partner, and buy, meaning that if we can build it through our own internal R&D, that's what we'll do. And as you mentioned, we spend a lot, and far more than any of our competitors in R&D. If we can partner with other companies, to bring some of their technology into our products, we'll do that. But if we need additional technology that we don't have the current skills to be able to provide, we will go out and buy companies.
Do you have any plans to venture beyond flash at this point in time?
Not into magnetic. We believe that eventually flash will drop in price to the point where there is no magnetic anymore. It'll all be flash. But of course, we look at other new semiconductor solid-state technologies in case flash technology becomes obsolete.
As a small player in the flash storage business, a lot of talk also about Pure Storage itself being an acquisition target. Is this something you and management are open to?
It's not something we're looking for. We believe we can be a very successful independent public company.
Not even if the right price came along?
We'll always have to do with what our shareholders wish to do, but our preference is to stay independent.
Don't go away. More with Charlie Giancarlo, CEO of Pure Storage, in just a moment.
It is a big market. We're talking about a $30 billion storage market, and perhaps even bigger if we're able to accomplish some of our goals.
Managing Asia, we'll be right back. Whether it's this Formula One team, or a football club in Australia, or the world's biggest professional network, LinkedIn, it's all about the need for speed. And Pure Storage has entrenched itself in these organizations.
I believe that we're going to improve the world, make the world a better place, because of what we do and if we do it well. Every quarter, we grow by about 200 new customers every quarter.
For one of the most successful teams in F1, Mercedes-AMG Petronas knows a fraction of a second could mean the difference between winning and losing. That was why it invested tens of millions of dollars in state-of-the-art tools to drive performance and efficiency, including an all-flash storage system. Head of IT Matt Harris said what used to take 4.5 minutes to generate a report now takes 13 seconds.
We are the only vendor that offers what we call an evergreen program. With our evergreen program, it means that we upgrade not just the software, but the hardware we upgrade every 3 years with no downtime to our customers.
AI and the fast-changing, increasingly competitive environment have fueled this recent surge in flash enterprise storage, a trend that's set to continue, according to IDC.
By 2021, 75% of enterprise applications would be AI enabled. In 2019, more than 50% of customers would be interacting with AI enabled bots. So That's how profound would be the impact of AI across the technology industry. That means that you need the right storage infrastructure, you need the right data services layer that enable these capabilities.
But it's not a home run for small vendors like Pure Storage just yet.
The risks and the challenges are really more around being able to scale up the business. It's easy scaling up the business in a much more homogeneous market like the US. Whereas you go into a country like India or China, the customers are fairly dispersed. It's a much more complex business environment. It'll take a period of time for them to scale up their operations.
But for Pure's CEO, it's a race he's determined to win. As a relative newcomer to the flash storage space, Pure Storage is growing at a fast clip of 40% year on year. How fast can you continue to grow at this rate?
I believe we can continue to grow at this rate for quite some time. It is a big market. We're talking about a $30 billion storage market, and perhaps even bigger if we're able to accomplish some of our goals.
But it's such a competitive market. How long can you continue at this rate?
Well, the competitors are tough, but they're not investing the way we are in new technology. As I said, they think of it as a commodity. We think of it as technology that is necessary for the computing market to grow.
So at this stage, are you actually growing market share or are you growing profitability?
Well, it's a great question. We're growing both. We are a profitable company. We intend to continue to be a profitable company, but we're plowing every additional dollar that we make into further growth.
So when it comes to pricing, would you drop your pricing just to grow market share at this point, or are you trying to keep things stable?
I don't think we need to. Really, our challenge is growing our company fast enough to continue to grow at our current revenue growth rate. So the better investment for us is not dropping prices, investing more in our sales force and our R&D engine.
When it comes to the whole aspect of the bulk of your revenues, I understand more than half of your revenues comes from within the US itself. Where is the next stage of growth going to come from? Overseas?
Yeah, absolutely. So today, about 70% of our revenue comes from the US, and about less than 30 from outside the US. In a mature company, it really should be closer to 50-50. And so we continue to invest overseas. Our growth outside the US is actually higher than our growth in the US. So I expect that number to continue to increase closer to 50-50.
Which markets will you focus on?
Both Europe and Asia. We're in 65 countries today. We plan on continuing to invest very heavily in those countries that we're in because we want to gain scale in those countries before we expand even further.
I understand when it comes to China, you're actually testing out the China market with a local partner there. How's it coming along?
We are. Well, we're just getting started. We're only 1 quarter into it so far. We already have revenues, so that's very fast to have within just 3 months period of time revenues. But we're partnered with a company called Inimits. This is a company we're very familiar with. They're a new company, but we're familiar with the management team there who have worked in the storage market for decades. And they're off to a very good start. We're very proud of them.
China is such a competitive market, though. Do you think you have what it takes to nail the China market?
We do. Because we're coming in with a differentiated offering again. We're not coming in with the same old storage. We're going in with flash that is optimized for performance.
Which companies are you targeting in China? Are you talking about the state-owned enterprises, the smaller companies? Who are you targeting in China?
No, we're targeting the large enterprise customers that have sophisticated workloads. So it includes the state-owned, but we're not exclusively focused on state-owned. We're really focused very much on the financial sector, focused on healthcare, very much focused on EDA or electronic design. And anything that requires lots of data and very fast access to it.
Lots of concerns right now about a trade war that's brewing between the US and China and how that could actually hurt US tech companies.
Yes.
Are you worried? Could it impede your growth in China?
I'm hopeful that they'll come to a negotiated settlement. We really think the rhetoric is not healthy at the moment. But we believe that we're just entering China. It's a long game. We have a very long focus in terms of long-range focus about developing our business in China. So we think in the long term that the countries will continue to have a good relationship
There is
together.
also the issue of Chinese tech companies. Lots of security concerns there about them operating in the US. Talking of companies like ZTE, Huawei, they've been in the news recently.
Yes.
You worried about backlash as an American storage player in China?
We always worry about the political situation, but again, we have a long-range view of this, and we think that over time that the relationship between between the two countries will be wonderful.
Right now, about 25% of your sales now comes from outside the U.S.
Correct.
How fast could you grow overseas?
Well,
do you have a target in mind?
We do. Currently, we haven't broken it out specifically, but our growth rate outside the U.S. is much higher than it is inside the U.S., and I expect that to continue. I would like our overall sales outside the U.S. to be roughly equal to our sales.
So
inside
50-50.
50-50.
What sort of time frame are you looking at?
Oh, we should be able to get there in 3 to 4 years.
Don't go away. Coming up next.
You need to make people believe that what they do matters, that if they believe that we should be doing something different, that they have the power to make that change.
Are you trying to turn pure storage into a Cisco in the flash storage space? Managing Asia, we'll be right back. When Pure Storage was founded in 2009, it disrupted an industry. The founders, John Colgrove and John Hayes.
You know, the interesting thing about them was the cognitive dissonance that they had. Just the fact that, you know, they were both brilliant. One very future-oriented, the other one very practical in terms of what customers actually wanted. And it was almost like Lennon and McCartney. I really do believe that one needs to bring in different viewpoints, different skills into a company and have them sometimes clash, but most of the time, you know, really develop things that are unique.
That's fantastic.
Charlie Giancarlo himself is an innovator. The former CTO at networking giant Cisco from 2004 to 2008 during its formative years.
You know, when I was at Cisco and I joined them when they were just crossing $1 billion. They had bought my company, Kalpana, and I was fortunate enough to be with them as we grew the company, you know, in an executive position as we grew the company to $45 billion, which is I left at the end of 2007. It was a remarkable ride. The company was a different company every 2 years. And we grew both by organic growth internally as well as by inorganic acquiring companies. And it's a model that, of course, one wishes as well for Pure. So we'll see how far we get.
Giancarlo sat on boards of companies such as Accenture, Skype, and Netflix. When it comes to experience, you have an incredible wealth of experience as working at Cisco during its formative years. Are you trying to turn Pure Storage into a Cisco in the flash storage space?
From your lips to God's ears, we have that potential. We live in a very big market, 30 billion plus, you know, in total, in terms of total sales in the storage market. It's an important market. It's an important market for our customers. I think we have that opportunity.
You're 60 years old. You have a science engineering degree with a Harvard MBA. You worked at Cisco, Silver Lake Partners, and now heading up Pure Storage. How would you describe your leadership and your management style? What does it take to drive a fast-growing technology company like Pure Storage?
In my opinion, it takes two things, and it's something that I've said about my leadership style now for quite some time: innovation and operational excellence. So you have to. This is the technology business. You can't just be operationally excellent, although that's required. You have to constantly be reinventing not just your product, but your company. You have to constantly be reinventing the way you go to market, the way you market, the way you build products, and what you do for your customers. And so that's really what marks my style. The final thing I'll mention, though, is that it requires accountability by everyone in the company. Everyone has to feel like an owner, because we are all owners of the company, and they take it on as their personal mission to drive the success of the company.
Are you performance driven?
Very much so, yes.
You're in charge of 2,500 employees at Pure Storage. What does it take to foster a culture of innovation within the company so it stays at the forefront?
Right. You need to make people believe that what they do matters. That if they believe that we should be doing something different, that they have the power to make that change. And of course, you have to recruit well. And give them that freedom to be able to do that. That's what allows you to grow.
Are they allowed to make mistakes?
Very much so. If you can't make mistakes, you can't make improvements, is my belief. I'm a skier. I don't know if you've ever skied, but you'll never improve if you don't fall down. You got to be able to fall down, figure out what you did wrong, and do it again.
But not too many times, though.
You just don't want to do it the same way. Right.
And finally, as the CEO of Pure Storage, what's your ultimate ambition for the company? Where do you see it 5 years from now?
I'd like to see us continue to be, a very dynamic, high-growth, independent company as a public company.
Independent.
Independent.
But
Gladly.
not big and quiet.
We're not looking to do that, no.
Thank you so much, Charlie.
Thank you very much.
And it was Charlie Giancarlo, CEO at Pure Storage, talking to me here in Singapore. Hope you've enjoyed the program. Do check us online at managingasia.cnbc.com for more exclusive leadership insights. Until next time, I'm Christine Tan. Thanks for watching.